Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today I'm doing another episode of Matt Rants. So, today we're talking about a topic that is not as serious as the last two topics. Really happy to be getting back to something that's a bit less serious, a bit more chill, relaxed. We can be a bit more loosey-goosey with this. And today we're talking about Spider-Man, specifically Marvel's Spider-Man, and the Raimi suit. Or no, the Raimi suit. I think it's the Raimi suit. So, the reason why we're talking about the Raimi suit in particular is because we're asking a question like we usually ask during Matt Rants. Sometimes we don't, but usually we try to. And the question is putting in the Raimi suit a good idea? Again, this is in relation to Marvel's Spider-Man. If you haven't played it, definitely go out and play it. It's an amazing game. I loved it so much. I even bought the DLC, and I will be doing a review of the game and the DLC separately in the near future. But at the same time, I had to think about whether or not this was a good idea. Now, you might be thinking, Matt, how dare you? We're going to burn you at the stake. But hear me out. You can burn me later, but hear me out right now. So, when it comes to this suit, I grew up with this suit. So I grew up with other suits as well. I grew up on the Marvel cartoon, specifically the Spider-Man cartoon on Fox Kids. So I do remember that suit a lot, but I did grow up when it comes to movies with these suits. I didn't really watch 70s Spider-Man. I hadn't watched Spider-Man, the Japanese version, the Toei version of Spider-Man at that time. So I hadn't seen 70s US Spider-Man or 70s Japanese Spider-Man. So when it came to Spider-Man in live action, seeing Tobey Maguire be Spider-Man was my first exposure to that. So it's not that I don't have a connection to that suit. I actually love Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, one of my favorite Spider-Man games out there. So I really do enjoy that suit in particular. The problem is that like many things that people want, and it doesn't happen all the time, and it's not everyone in the gaming community, because I'm in the community, so if I said it was everyone, that would be me shitting on myself. So it's not everybody, but with certain times in the gaming community, when there are people that want things, they don't just say, hey, Insomniac, we would like this. They say, for every hour you don't give us this, an ex-employee will die. And it just kind of becomes a situation where I feel like Insomniac has to look at this and be like, are we going to negotiate with terrorists? Because the amount of, and look, that's tongue-in-cheek, but hear me out, guys. The amount of times that you'll have people, it starts off with, hey, you know, this would be really nice. You know, it would be really nice if we had this. Oh, this suit would be amazing. And then it turns into, someone actually said online, I swear to God, I don't have the tweet available, but I suggest you guys, if you want to go down a sad rabbit hole, go down either tweets or Facebook comments about people talking about this topic in particular. And they were literally saying this game would be the worst game of the year if the Raimi suit is not in the game. When Insomniac gives you all of these hours, I actually haven't clocked in how many hours Marvel Spider-Man is, that many hours of content, even before the DLC. Yes, they announced the DLC around the same time the game, even before the game came out. That was a little odd to me, I will admit. But still, they release all of this content. They don't do, pay-to-win mechanics. They don't give you guys extra skins. They do it with the DLC, of course, but that's bundled in. But they don't say, hey, you want this extra suit? Pay us $1, pay us $5. You know, this suit gives you some really cool powers, and it would help you in the game. Pay us $5. They didn't do that. They developed a full game. Yes, there is some stuff that sadly does kind of get completed in the DLC, I'll admit, but the actual main storyline itself wraps up in the game. I feel complete if I just play the game and I don't play the DLC. I enjoyed the DLC, but I didn't feel like I needed to play it. Like, oh, I can't finish this game unless I get the DLC. No, the game itself was good enough. But that wasn't good enough for some of these fans. For some of these fans, I had to sit there and go, well, if I don't get this suit, we riot. If we don't get this suit, well, then I guess this game is the worst. And people talking about review bombing the game and things like that over one suit. Now, do I love the suit? I actually do enjoy the suit, thinking back on it. But is it that good to the point where I'm going to sit there and say it's a bad game? Or the fact that Insomniac, they had a social media person. It's not like, yes, that person has to report back into Insomniac themselves, but they are not the one making the suits. They aren't the one making these decisions. They aren't the ones, they're not Marvel. You know, they have no tie-in to Spider-Man directly as a game or as a character, but they have to hear these people just getting online and saying things like, oh, well, first of all, again, it starts off normal. Hey, can I have this suit? And then an Insomniac person says, hey, look, this PR person says, hey, social media person, actually, rather, hey, we hear you, and I'll tell this to my, my superiors. And then people being like, well, you said you'd hear us, but that the suit isn't here yet. And by the way, this news was coming out, even though it's kind of delayed. I still want to talk about this because of how big of a deal this apparently was. Because this had happened around the time before the third DLC pack was released and after the second DLC pack. So even though they had given you suits in those DLC packs as well, people were still demanding for a free suit. Even if they had said, oh, we don't want a free suit, but we would love to pay for the suit. Hell, Insomniac will pay for this suit. That still doesn't look good on Insomniac when they release an entire game without suit DLCs. It doesn't matter if they even put this out for $5 and the entirety of the Spider-Man community wants it. Even if it's a majority, not the entirety, still, even if they would pay $5 for that suit or $1 for that suit, it would still not look good on Insomniac. So they can't win either way. Either they put out a suit for $1 and there are people who are not fans of Marvel Spider-Man or who are like, this is bullshit, how dare you put this out for $1, or they don't put it out, as they didn't for a bit, and people are like, well, where's the suit? This is the worst game ever. How dare you not listen to us? It's like, no. They heard you, or if the specific quote was, if I remember correctly, it might have been, we hear you, we've listened to you, but hearing and listening doesn't equal doing. Like, it doesn't mean that because, like, I can hear someone's opinion. It doesn't mean that I'm going to go, well, I guess I've changed my mind completely. No. You can hear what someone has to say. That doesn't mean that you have to do it 100%. And these devs aren't bound to our every whim. Yes, they should do things that we want so that we could put money towards the game, but at the same time, or, to future DLC and things like that, but at the same time, we should not be sitting there demanding things willy-nilly just because we think, we might be able to get them, especially if we start, making a loud enough voice. Well, then what are they going to do? I mean, do they want to get review bombed? It's like, it's one suit versus an entire game's worth of content that you got for $60, or maybe even less if you use things like gift cards or, Best Buy rewards program when that was a thing. I remember I got that game as a gift from Satish Ram, and he mentioned to me that he got it from Best Buy, and I sat there, Satish Ram, by the way, being a contributor for the channel, and I sat there and I was like, Satish has a Best Buy rewards card. So that means he got it for a lot less than 60, potentially. So, and nothing against him. I'm not saying that the gift was worth less. It was an amazing gift, and I'm so happy he got that for me because that game was amazing, and still is. But at the same time, the point, though, is that I got so many hours of enjoyment from that game. So much content for such little money, in my opinion, compared to how many games try to nickel and dime you and get everything they can out of you. So why am I going to sit here? Why are you going to sit here, if you are someone who did this, and say that this game is terrible because one suit skin wasn't in the game? Alright, so I actually looked online on a website called How Long to Beat. Sometimes I actually look at this website just to see if I want to play a new game on the channel or something like that. I think, how long would it actually take for me to beat this if I was really good at it, or, in general? Because yes, it is an aggregate site. People submit their times and then they actually do averages to kind of see how long it would be. So it's not 100% perfect, but it's as best as I can do right now. So main story is 16 hours. Main plus extras is 23 and a half hours. All styles, 25 and a half hours, so I don't know what that means, and completionist, 31 hours. So 31 hours of your time to this. Plus, I don't think completionist is including DLC either. And even if it is, let's say that it is, and I take the 4 hours, because they list the DLC here. Silver Lining is 4 hours, 100%, 3 hours for the heist at 100%, and Turf Wars at 4 hours for 100%. That's what they say here. So let's say I take 100% into account. That's 4, 8, and then 11. Okay, so 11 hours minus 20 hours of content, which I still think is good, but still, 31 hours, again, we're assuming that completionist also includes a DLC. Not too sure if it does. And yet still, this suit is people's biggest problems. Now, as we all know, they did put the suit in the third DLC pack. It was another suit. It didn't seem like the suit was planned on being added in, and frankly, I have no problem if they were going to add the suit at a later date, in another DLC, if they're going to do more DLC, let's say. I don't know if they are, but if they did, they added it into another DLC pack, or if they were going to release it on its own as a standalone free update instead of just bundled in with the DLC. I don't know. Maybe, we just, people online just made them think, let's just speed this up a little bit more. We were always going to do this anyway. Let's speed it up a little bit more. Or maybe they were never going to do it, and this made them think, this would really be nice to do this for the fans. I'm sure the devs creating this also enjoy Raimi's Spider-Man as well. My problem is just the fact that And it's not just, but as I mentioned earlier, it's because people are complaining for extra free content when they got a lot of content in the game itself. But here's where it gets me, though. I mentioned earlier as a joke, the negotiate with terrorists thing as like, kind of like a tongue in cheek. But at the end of the day, though, I do think that, and I know it's not a good business practice, but I think that Insomniac should have strong armed people and shouldn't have given us the suit, at least at this point. Should have waited to give us a suit at the very least. And I know that sounds controversial, but here's the thing. When people are complaining and being that vocal about their complaints to the point where they're threatening Insomniac and threatening employees with things like review bombs, with things even worse than that, physical threats and stuff like that, when that happens over a video game, I don't think that the best method is to give them what they want, because then it makes it seem like those kind of tactics work and that stuff like that should happen in the future because that's how they get what they want. Now, I haven't seen any official posts by the CEO of Activision, the CEO of Insomniac, or Sony or anything like that. Maybe they were always planning this, and again, they were going to put it out in this DLC pack because it's the last DLC pack. So maybe this was always going to happen. But the fact that people were getting so vocal about something so minuscule, it frustrated me so much that I actually sat back and I was like, I don't need the suit that badly if we're going to make it seem like tactics like this are okay to do. Now, of course, you guys are probably asking the question, oh, so Matt, are you not using the suit? Well, of course I'm using the suit. What, I'm not a masochist? Like, of course, if the suit's available, I'm going to use the suit. It's not going to matter if I don't use the suit. It's packed in with the DLC anyway. It's not like I had to download it separately. So, of course, I'm using the suit. I love the suit. But I don't love the suit more than I love the treatment of these employees at Insomniac. I don't love this suit more than I love the fact that these tactics are seeming to be normalized. I haven't talked about certain topics in the past, even though they've come up on my radar, but then I got too busy and they never got the chance to talk about them. Just these situations where people come together just to point at one person, maybe it's a social media manager, maybe it's a forum manager, something like that, and go, we don't like what she said, and we want her head on a platter. We want her fired, and then sending people death threats and rape threats and things like that. And then in certain cases, certain companies are like, oh, well, they seem to be upset. Okay, let's fire this person. It's like, no. You don't let tactics like that actually define whether or not someone should be fired or not. Even if that person was a bad employee, you wait a little bit. Like, I know it might seem crazy, but you don't make it seem as if those whining children, those people acting like whining children, I should say, those people acting like whining children should be allowed to dictate what you do as a company. Now, granted, I love the suit, so I'm not saying that to anyone saying, I think that they should have had the suit or they should have the suit, that they're in the wrong here. Because again, I'm someone who also agrees with that mentality. Oh yeah, we should get the suit. But when it starts to turn into an angry mob that's threatening developers, I really think that at that point, Insomniac should not have put it out. I mean, that's just, or, Sony should not have put it out. That's just my take on it, though. As we're wrapping this up, I want to hear what you guys have to think, what you guys have to say. Do you think that I'm 100% wrong? And it's cool if you think that. That's fine. You can comment down below. Maybe you think that no matter what, this suit should have been in there. And heck, maybe you think this suit should have been in there day one, which is fair. And I say day one in terms of you have to unlock it, but still in the main game. We also should note, though, that there probably are some licensing issues that they had to go through in some way or another, and that might be why this suit didn't come out till now. So that's just something else to put out there as well. But still, again, I want to hear what you guys think down below. If you agree with me, disagree with me, that's fine. If you like the video, please remember to like and subscribe. If you don't like the video, you can still like and subscribe either way. That's totally fine. You can also dislike and subscribe. That's cool, too. I won't judge. Either way, guys, thank you all so much. Love you all. Take care, and tune in next time for another episode of Matt Rants. All right, guys, so see ya.